Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. The FVRD has had enough of aggressive dogs killing other dogs. Not only does crime not pay, illegal dumping is going to cost you. Social media ablaze with news of chemical burns at a popular local water park. And are we moving from single-use plastics to zero-use? As well, cars set ablaze near Chilliwack Secondary School. Thanks for watching. We are committed to providing local news and news that impacts our local audience in Chilliwack, including beautiful areas such as Rosedale, Promontory, Garrison Crossing, Fairfield Island, Little Mountain, Chilliwack Mountain, Cultus Lake, and of course, Yarrow. In addition to the most important news of the week, sports and weather, we have as our special guest this week, former MLA for Chilliwack, as well as Attorney General and Minister of the Environment for BC, Barry Penner, and Scott McVetty of Remax Nyda Realty for his real estate report. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. But before we do, it's my great pleasure to welcome Lisa Wallace to the show.
Thank you, Don.
You're
Happy
welcome.
to be here.
Yeah. And now our top news story. The Fraser Valley Regional District is getting tough on owners of dogs who kill other dogs. Dealing with aggressive dogs is nothing new, but the report of fatal dog-on-dog attacks has grown, and the FVRD feels they can't ignore that. Wording has changed to the bylaws that used to come with a $250 fine. The old law only said the word kill, and the fine was for a dog causing injury. Now, the amended wording is now attack, bite, kill, or cause injury. And the next step for the FVRD is to decide what the new increased penalty will be.
From discarded grass clippings along roads and watercourses to decaying furniture in the forest, as of July 16th, illegal dumping in Chilliwack will cost you more. On July 2nd, City Council gave first, second, and third reading to 2 bylaw amendments that will increase the fines associated with illegal dumping and the burning of pallets or other garbage from $200 to $500 per offense. The maximum under the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw. Additional fines of up to $2,000 may be levied, and offenders may also be charged with related cleanup costs.
A Chilliwack parent took to social media tearing a strip off the staff at the Bridal Falls Water Park. Her complaint was that her child and other kids who were part of a day camp trip last Thursday were all inflicted with chemical burns. Her 7-year-old went to hospital to be checked out. Now, according to her post, the water contained higher than normal levels of chlorine. And in the wake of that complaint, an anonymous staffer at the water park says procedures will be reviewed. The bathing suits of other kids who were at the park at the time saw their colors fade in their clothing.
Chilliwack Council also gave the green light for an RFP, a request for proposals, to hire a consultant to look at the best possible way for the city to reduce single-use plastics. This has been a hot-button topic for many communities. Basically, it is an attempt to reduce the number of items like grocery bags, cups, and straws from filling landfills. Victoria has already banned single-use plastic grocery bags. Vancouver is targeting cups and straws. City staff say it would take 2 years to come up with a made-for-Chilliwack solution. Councillor Jason Lum chimed in saying the timeline was too long. And after the break, a hot crime spot in Chilliwack lives up to its name.
The area around Rotary and Reese near Chilliwack Secondary was once again back in the news for all the wrong reasons. A luxury car and adjacent cars were set on fire, and the whole event was caught on security cameras. The fire was next to a B&B, and the owner there claims RCMP have done little to provide information on a possible cause, although neighbors say this type of crime is not new in the neighborhood. RCMP not responding to media requests for information.
The Facebook page Chilliwack Citizens for Change are spearheading a plan to have a rainbow crosswalk installed, preferably on the corner of Mill Street and Wellington. A petition was circulated last week during the first Friday of Party in the Park. A photo session was scheduled for this past Tuesday to raise awareness. Shelley Gertson is one of the people behind the petition. She said the response at Party in the Park was, for the most part, positive.
Now an update to our story from last week. This past weekend, some 24 volunteers, some coming from Alberta, had another search on Elk Thurston Trail for Christopher Couture, and that came up empty. The search was organized by a distraught Edmonton mother, Eva Couture. Her son has been missing since January, and he was supposed to be working in Burnaby. His vehicle was last spotted in Chilliwack, and he has simply disappeared. Eva told chillTV, quote, "I need to find him." Speaking with experienced hikers, they suggest to come back in the fall when the leaves are not so thick. RCMP scaled back their initial search, and there's no evidence whether he fell off the trail or foul play was involved. If you have any information or any evidence of his whereabouts, you are asked to contact RCMP.
And in what has become a summer driving tradition, when the heat cranks up, so does asphalt rehabilitation. Paving on Evans Road between Highway 1 and Stevenson Road began this past Monday and is scheduled to be completed before September. This is a major north-south connector between Walmart, Eagle Landing, and Garrison. With school officially done for summer, kids aged 5 to 14 have the opportunity to participate in the BC Summer Reading Club, a fun, free, and inclusive literacy program offered by public libraries in more than 200 communities throughout BC. The Fraser Valley Regional Library participates in the Summer Reading Club every year. In addition to the Kids Reading Club, FVRL also has reading clubs for teens and adults. Details can be found on the Fraser Valley Library's website. And now, sports with Don Lehn.
After a horrible start, it appears that the Fraser Valley Bandits basketball team have turned a corner. The Bandits have now rattled off 3 wins in a row. In bowling, that's known as a turkey. Fraser Valley held the Guelph Nighthawks to just 34% shooting in a dominant 85-72 win last Saturday. The victory was the biggest win margin in team history by the Bandits. Terrell Tate leading the way, averaging 15 points a game. The Bandits host Niagara River tonight at the Abbotsford Centre. The Bandits and Guelph are tied for last place in the CEBL with identical 3-9 records. And let's see if they can make it a 4-bagger. The BCHL has announced the relaunch of their signature showcase event by introducing the 2019 BCHL Showcase Festival presented by Bauer from October the 2nd to the 5th. However, Chilliwack will not host the entire event. It will start at Prospera Centre. That's on the 2nd as well as the 3rd. And then the second half will move to the South Okanagan Event Centre in Penticton on October 4th and 5th. Ticket information can be found on the Chilliwack Chiefs website. BCHL Commissioner Chris Hebb says from now on, the showcase is going to be a marquee event to signify the beginning of our hockey season in our province. UFV Athletics announcing the hiring of Nathan Bennett as the new head coach of the Cascades men's volleyball program. Bennett joins UFV following a year as head coach of the University of Saskatchewan. His arrival coincides with UFV's men's and women's volleyball programs entering their final Pac West season before they move to Canada West. That's for the 2021 campaign. And still with UFV, the men's soccer season starts Friday, August 23rd, when they host UBC. The Chilliwack Chiefs announcing they signed a couple of 2003-born players, Peter Reynolds and Hudson Thornton. Both players have been recently invited to the Hockey Canada Under-17 selection camp. And that is a huge honor as only 112 Canadian invitees are asked to join every year. And when we return, a welcome back to Scott McVetty in his real estate review. And he's a little uber-focused on Little Mountain.
The best thing about Hofstede's is their endless supply of muffins and cinnamon buns.
June was a busy month for real estate in both Sardis and Chilliwack this year. Looking across the board at all property types, Sardis had 124 properties sold, and there were 84 units sold on the Chilliwack side of the freeway. To give you a little perspective, June of 2018 in a hot market also accounted for 124 sales in Sardis. And there was just a slight dip in the Chilliwack totals as compared to 2018. This is a promising number. If we look back to the last major market correction in 2008, total sales were just a little over half of what they were today. And if you watched earlier episodes, I almost always touch on market health. Sold units tells us there is still a demand. And if you're looking at the market health meter, you can see that Chilliwack is sitting nicely in a balanced market, and Sardis is in its fourth month of returning to a seller's market. This looks like it may be the new normal for the foreseeable future, with typical slowdowns in the winter months and a natural increase in the busier months. This month's uber focus is on Little Mountain. I haven't been able to confirm this, but a client of mine says that back in the day, Little Mountain was called Pill Hill. I'm guessing there was a doctor or two buying up there back when Little Mountain was first being developed. This is an eclectic mix of high-end homes from the 70s and 80s mixed with a few brand new houses, all on top of what is quite literally a little mountain. Part of the appeal of this area is that the properties have stunning views of the valley with quick and easy freeway access to town. Sometimes it's difficult tracking stats on neighborhoods like this. Values are typically well above average, but often sales volume is very, very low. Over the last 90 days, there have been 3 reported sales on Little Mountain for an average sold price of almost $811,000. And there are currently 13 homes available with an average list price of $827,000. If you track the Little Mountain market health, it can be a little deceiving. Prices overall are relatively stable as compared to neighboring areas, but if you track the supply and demand, it spends a lot more time in the buyer's market zone. This is due in part to the well-established sellers being able to wait and see if a better offer comes along. Bottom line, give your realtor a pat on the back if you're a buyer who gets a deal on Little Mountain. Things take time, but an undervalued property on Little Mountain will sell before the sign even goes up in the yard. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'm Scott McVetty from Remax Nyda Realty. This has been the Real Estate Report. If you'd like your neighborhood featured, please send a message to scott@scottmcvetty.com. And now I'm going to turn it over to Berris Karden, who will be interviewing Barry Penner.
Thank you very much, Scott, and welcome to the show, Barry. It's wonderful to have you on chillTV. And a lot of you will recognize Barry Penner from his many years of service as the MLA for Chilliwack, and as well, Attorney General for British Columbia, as well as the longest serving Minister of the Environment for BC. And have I missed anything?
Minister of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation.
Right, and also chair of ICBC for a time.
Right, after I left elected office.
Right. So you were at a very high profile level for many years. We haven't maybe necessarily seen a lot of you recently. And I know that you're in the private sector now. But today, you're here to talk about a very important topic, something that we've talked about on chillTV now for a couple of weeks, which is?
The issue of waste from the Philippines being repatriated to Canada, and particularly British Columbia, for incineration at the incinerator in Burnaby.
So, and we've been following that, and it was supposed to come to Port of Vancouver, we heard, and went to Delta Port, and now presumably being truck loaded to Burnaby and being incinerated as we speak right now. So anything residents have to be concerned about?
Well, many people will remember my concern about the proposed Sumas 2 power project just south of Abbotsford. It was proposed, and I helped lead, really a remarkable coalition of thousands of people across the political spectrum here in the Fraser Valley, speaking with one voice against that project out of concern for local air quality. That project would have added about 2 to 3 tons per day of particulate matter to our airshed here. And particulate matter, when it gets into your system through your lungs, eventually ends up in your vital organs and can contribute to cancer. So that was a remarkable show of opposition and unity, and we stopped that project. But what gets lost in the mix, and which is forgotten about, is the existing Burnaby incinerator. This issue with the waste being repatriated from the Philippines has put a spotlight on it briefly, and it's only served to remind people that that incinerator is there. So people are right to be interested in this waste that's coming back from the Philippines, but it begs the question, what happens at that incinerator every single day? Well, every single day it's consuming waste from the Lower Mainland, and about 1/4 of all the solid waste, that's garbage to you and me, from the lower mainland ends up going up the smokestack at the Burnaby incinerator.
Well, and how long has that incinerator then been burning?
I believe it was permitted in the late 1980s. It's had a number of retrofits and modifications over the years, but it continues to operate. It produces steam, which is then used to generate some electricity. Not a large amount in the overall scheme of things, but I believe it's somewhere around 15 megawatts gets put into the BC Hydro system.
Is that a revenue generator?
Correct. Yeah, it generates about, I think it's $10 to $15 million a year to Metro Vancouver to help offset the cost of operating that incinerator.
So, but now, this has been incinerating for over 30 years. Have we noticed an increase in ill health because of that for Fraser Valley residents?
It's only one source of air pollution in the lower mainland. Of course, we've got industry, we've got transportation, construction, maritime shipping. There's all kinds of factors that contribute to air pollution. When I was in government, we oversaw the shutdown, essentially, of the Burrard Thermal Power Plant, just east of Vancouver, which was, at that point, I think the biggest single point source of pollution for the lower mainland. So over the last 15 years, we've actually seen a noticeable improvement in air quality in the Fraser Valley. There are exceptions, like last August, when, due to the forest fire season, we had.
Well, and then there's a compounding effect, obviously,
right,
because you get that on top.
So there are all kinds of factors that go into the mix. But this issue with the Philippine garbage repatriation really just serves to highlight that there is an existing facility there. People will remember the controversy just a few years ago where the Fraser Valley Regional District was very high profile in opposing Metro Vancouver's suggestion that they'd like to expand that incinerator. They're going to build a much larger facility, which would consume a lot more garbage. So that project has not got off the ground, at least in part due to the lobbying efforts of the Fraser Valley Regional District.
Well, and viewers have expressed concerns to chillTV about the garbage that's coming in from the Philippines. Are you saying that that's a red herring? Really, it's garbage in general, and there's nothing specifically to be concerned about with that shipment?
I think people are right to be interested and curious about all things, including that repatriation of the Philippine waste. My point is it just serves to highlight that that incinerator is there, and whether there's waste coming from the Philippines or not, there is waste that's being consumed there, about 260,000 tons per year. And what's the byproduct of that? Nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxides, hydrogen chloride, carbon monoxide, cadmium, mercury, lead, arsenic,
oh my gosh,
chromium, dioxins, furans, chlorophenols, polychloric or aromatic hydrocarbons, and polychlorinated biphenyls are the issues that we have to be thoughtful about because those go up the smokestack.
So, if residents are concerned, what should they do? What can a resident do?
I think you need to get in touch with your elected representatives, both provincial, federal, and municipal. When Sharon Gates was the mayor of Chilliwack, of course, she took a high-profile role in opposing the expansion of the incinerator in Metro Vancouver, as did a number of people that spoke out on that issue. It's still the position of the current council, I believe, in Chilliwack, that they would be opposed to an expansion. We just have to be mindful that all of our decisions we make every day have an impact. Our waste does go somewhere, and just because it's out of sight doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect on you.
No, that's fair enough. Okay, well, thank you very much, Barry, for being on our show today with this topic. Now, before you leave, just to shift gears a little bit, I understand that you may be involved in some interesting things coming up in the very near future.
Yes, and I think you know a little bit about that.
I've heard.
Someone's been twisting my arm a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we're very pleased to announce on chillTV that Barry will be joining us this fall on a brand new political show, which I don't think we've got a title for yet.
I was thinking about Penner's Politburo.
Penner's Politburo, or Penner's Politico, or Penner Point Penner, something like that.
We'll see.
We'll see. So stay tuned this fall, and we'll have lots of advance information on that. So anyway, Barry, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Hofstede's, we only use the highest quality meats and cheeses for our platters. Our fruit and vegetable trays use the same high quality produce that you would expect from Hofstede's. We're able to customize our trays to your specific needs. Our trays are competitively priced and our quality standards are above and beyond. We make it super easy to move your holiday platters from your to-do list to your done list.
chillTV weather. Environment Canada says their computer projections for the next week mean a mixed bag of sun and showers and not what we should be having for this mid-July. So temperatures are only in their low 20s. Thanks for watching chillTV's News of the Week, and thanks especially to our guest this week, Lisa Wallace, our guest anchor, Scott McVetty with his real estate report, and Barry Penner and his interview with Berris Karden. Now, Lisa, thank you for joining us. I know you're vice president of, is it FG Leary, or you've changed now?
I am now principal at Robertson starting in September.
Okay, so you're the boss. And you were involved with TEDx Chilliwack in 2017. Anything new with TEDx?
Well, we are looking at some new ideas with TEDx, maybe a TEDx Junior.
Oh, that would be fun. Thanks for watching our show this week. If you would like to share the spotlight, even if you've never been on camera before, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca with your CV. And if you have it, links to your video. And if there's something in the Chilliwack and Eastern Fraser Valley you feel we should be reporting on, again, send us an email to the same address, news@chilltv.ca. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.